What's the one item in your house you'd kill to get back after you've lost it? Go ahead, picture it. Is it your fancy camping stove? Your ammo? Your generator? Wrong. It's probably something stupidly cheap, painfully ordinary, and sitting ignored 3 feet from where you sleep. Because when collapse hits, and it will, whether it's a currency implosion, cyber attack, or just the slow bleed of supply chains dying in silence, it won't be the expensive stuff you'll miss. It'll be the items you didn't even bother to stock. The kind of household junk you could buy today for pocket change but didn't, because it didn't feel essential. And guess what? That arrogance is what'll cost people everything. Let me lay it out for you. You're not gonna rise from the ashes like some post-apocalyptic warlord with your $300 bug-out bag and a tactical vest you saw in a YouTube ad. No. You'll be wet, you'll be tired, and you'll be desperate, digging through your own trash, praying to find one more Ziploc bag that doesn't leak. While everyone's hoarding silver coins and gas cans, it'll be the guy with a box of safety pins and a clean bar of soap who runs the black market. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 insanely cheap household items, things you could have bought at Dollar Tree yesterday, that will become survival gold when the lights go out, the water runs brown, and trust turns to trade. This isn't your cute prepper checklist. This is the ugly truth. Because when the collapse comes, it won't reward the rich. It'll reward the prepared. And they won't be holding gold. They'll be holding Ziploc bags. Let's begin. Number 10. Nail clippers. Yes, seriously. You ever think about how miserable life gets when you can't trim a hangnail? Now imagine that multiplied by a month with no hygiene access and no hospital ERs open to fix the infection when it swells red and starts oozing. Nail clippers are one of those items you don't even count when you stock your bag until you break one nail trying to tie your boots and realize every motion is pain. But it's not just hygiene. In a collapse, these little blades become precise tools. Need to snip sutures, cut thread for stitches, trim twine in tight places without a full knife? Nail clippers do it, and they don't rust fast if they're stainless. I've used them to slice fishing line, dig out splinters, and even fix a frayed tent seam when a storm was rolling in. Plus, they're compact, silent, and barterable. When collapse hits and people start losing mobility because their toenails grew into their feet, yes, that happens, guess who they trade with? The guy with 10 spare clippers still in the blister pack. In 2020, Amazon saw a 250% increase in clipper sales during lockdowns. Now imagine the value when there's no Amazon. You want sharp, sanitary, and plentiful. Because when infection is lethal and comfort is rare, clipping a nail clean becomes more than grooming, it becomes survival. Number 9. Manual can openers. You ever try opening a can of beans with a rock? You'll learn real fast why manual can openers are the unsung heroes of any grid-down scenario. You might think you're clever with your survival knife, but after a few jagged cuts and one nasty gash, you'll be begging for that dull-looking gear drawer classic. Now here's where it gets interesting. During the Venezuelan collapse, canned goods were one of the last types of food to disappear from shelves. But guess what ran out faster? Can openers. Without one, you're staring at steel-wrapped calories like a caveman discovering fire. And don't get me started on the electric ones. Collapse doesn't come with a wall socket. What you want is an old-school, all-metal crank-style opener that doesn't jam. Preferably one you've already tested. And yes, I said tested. The dollar store ones break by can number 5. I keep 4 openers. 2 Swiss Army style, 1 heavy-duty grip opener, and 1 ultra-compact model in my glove box. Why? Because every person with a can and no opener becomes a desperate trader. I once watched a guy barter his solar lantern for a rusted hand crank, just to eat in peace. Don't be that guy. Be the one who opens food and opportunities. Number 8. Aluminum foil. Everyone thinks aluminum foil is for wrapping sandwiches or making funny hats to block government signals. And sure, maybe you'll need the latter if society goes full road warrior. But the real value of aluminum foil comes from its absurd versatility. Need to reflect heat to warm a shelter? Foil. Need to shield electronics from an EMP blast, assuming you were smart enough to keep a Faraday bag? Foil. Need to cook fish in a fire, boil water without a pot, or build a solar oven out of junk? Foil. 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 In fact, NASA used aluminum to build reflective panels for satellites, because it works. A single roll of heavy-duty foil can be folded into cups, trays, fire reflectors, light baffles, or even used as signal mirrors in daylight. It's sterile if fresh off the roll, and can be recreased and reused multiple times. During the Greek financial crisis, shopkeepers were hoarding aluminum because of skyrocketing prices. And here's the kicker. Its barter value triples when people realize how cold, wet, and underfed they are. I've traded foil sheets for batteries, tea, and even antibiotics. Keep it rolled, keep it dry, and keep it out of sight. Because in collapse, foil doesn't just cover leftovers, it covers your ass. Number 7. Dental floss. You think dental floss is about minty freshness and guilt trips from your dentist. Cute. In a collapse, dental floss becomes tactical thread, stealth cordage, and medical-grade sewing line, all in one. First off, it's strong, real strong. Waxed nylon floss can hold over 20 pounds in a single strand. That means you can use it to lash gear, rig snares, sew tiers, hang supplies, or even splint small fractures. I once repaired a ripped bootlace using floss and a safety pin. Lasted 2 weeks through rain and mud. And don't overlook the medical angle. You get food stuck in your teeth when you've got no antibiotics and no dentists. That turns into rot, infection, pain, and death. It's not pretty, and it's not rare. A Navy corpsman I spoke to in 2006 said dental infections were one of the top non-combat threats during prolonged field deployments because hygiene collapses faster than ammo. So yeah, that floss roll, it's not for vanity, it's for survival. Keep multiple rolls sealed in plastic. I store mint and plain mint for morale, plain for stitching. And when it comes time to trade, you'd be shocked how fast someone will hand over batteries for 10 feet of string that can do what duct tape can't. Number 6. Coffee filters. And no, it's not just about coffee anymore. You think coffee filters are a luxury item? A cozy morning relic from the old world when mornings still had routines? Think again. In a post-collapse scenario, a cheap stack of 1,000 paper coffee filters, costing less than $10 at the dollar store, becomes an all-purpose survival essential. Start with water filtration. No, it won't kill pathogens, but it will pull out dirt, grit, bugs, and plant scum from your creek scoop or gutter catch. That means your Life Straw or Sawyer filter lasts longer, clogs less, and you don't waste time sucking mud. Stack 2 filters, pour water in, let gravity do the work. Now you're cooking smarter. But it doesn't stop there. Use them as disposable napkins, makeshift toilet paper. Yes, it's better than leaves, or wound pads in an emergency. I've seen them used as fire starters, wound compresses, seedling starters, and even pre-roll wrappers for powdered meds. During lockdowns, I watched panic buyers clear shelves of masks and smart folks folded coffee filters into makeshift N95s with a rubber band. And they worked. Studies showed double-layered filters reduced particle spread by 70% in field tests. Now multiply that by wildfire ash, dust storms, or flu outbreaks in tight shelters. You want clean breath? You'll wish you had these. They're feather-light, stack like cash, and barter like gold. One camp I traded with used them to dry jerky and infuse herbs into boiling water. When everyone else is cutting shirts into rags, you'll be the one with clean tools, clean water, and clean trades. So go ahead, scoff now. But in collapse, the guy with the filters filters everything, including who lives smart and who drinks regret. Number 5. Zippered plastic bags. They're in your drawer right now. Half-empty boxes of freezer bags, sandwich bags, gallon sliders. You barely think about them, but when the grid drops and nature claws its way indoors, zippered plastic bags become your airtight insurance policy. Let's get brutal for a second. Collapse means exposure. Your meds, your dry food, your fire starters. Moisture ruins it all. One leak, one night of condensation, and your antibiotics dissolve. Your oats mold, your ammo corrodes. But toss it in a heavy-duty freezer bag, seal it, and boom, suddenly you've created a micro-environment of survival. I once kept a stash of cotton fire starters, bone dry for 6 months inside a leaky tent, all thanks to triple-sealed bags. And let's talk about organization. In chaos, time kills. You need fast access to gear without digging through a junk pile. I pre-pack mission kits, meds, comms gear, hygiene tinder, each in its own labeled bag. Need to barter under pressure? Hand over a sealed hygiene bag. Soap, floss, toothpaste. Clean, dry, untouched. Value shoots through the roof. In New Orleans post-Katrina, people paid cash for dry bags. They'd trade food just for one sealed pouch to keep ID and photos from getting destroyed. And here's the kicker. Plastic bags weigh nothing. You can stuff a dozen in your coat and forget they're there until they save your gear, your rations, your life. Don't rely on fancy waterproof cases or tactical hard shells. They're expensive, bulky, obvious. But a $2 box of gallon bags? That's quiet, hidden durability. So ask yourself, when collapse floods your world with chaos, will your essentials float or will they rot? Because in collapse, the guy with dry gear makes the rules. Number 4, safety pins. Ah yes, safety pins. The tiny rattling bits tossed into a sewing kit or clipped on a tag, forgotten until you lose a button. But in a world gone dark, where improvisation becomes policy, those little metal clips become tactical tools of absurd utility. Think about it. You tear your jacket mid-freeze, or your tarp rips in a windstorm, or your pack strap gives out while crossing debris. You're not pulling out duct tape or thread mid-disaster. You're grabbing a pin. Strong, light, silent, and stupidly fast. I've used safety pins to close wounds. Yes, field-style butterfly stitch, reattach zippers, hang water bags, lock tent flaps, and even secure wire to batteries when the connectors broke. A retired Special Forces SRE instructor told me once, the smallest item that can do 5 jobs deserves 5 places in your pack. He carried 20 safety pins wrapped in duct tape. Smart man. In a collapse, these pins become currency. Someone needs to baby-proof a shelter with jagged corners? Pin a blanket. Someone's shoelace snaps. Pin the loop. Need to rig a fishhook, clean a clogged spray valve, or make a compass needle float. You guessed it, pin time. I've traded safety pins for antibiotics, candles, even a car battery jump. And don't even get me started on clothing. You think people will be walking around looking sharp? No, tears, sag, exposure. A good pin holds it all together. I stash dozens in every kit, small, medium, jumbo with rust-resistant coatings, stored dry in a Ziploc. They'll last decades. So next time you hear a faint jingle in your drawer, listen carefully.
That's the sound of future trades, future repairs, and future security waiting to be noticed. Because in collapse, the guy with the pins doesn't just patch gear, he pins down the advantage. Number 3, bar soap. Yeah, I know. Soap? That's what we're talking about. Absolutely. Because in collapse, clean becomes rare, and rare becomes power. Bar soap, specifically unscented, antibacterial, old-school lye or tallow-based stuff, suddenly transforms into trade-grade gold. Let's not forget history. During World War I and II, soap was rationed. During the Great Depression, families made their own. Why? Because when supply lines crack and hygiene breaks down, disease follows. Fast. You want dysentery, cholera, MRSA outbreaks, skip the soap. Otherwise, stock it. I keep stacks of it. Plain bars, wrapped, vacuum sealed. And I don't mean that modern fruity-smelling trash. I mean harsh, industrial-strength multi-use soap. You can wash your hands, clean wounds, scrub cookware, rinse clothes, defunk gear, and yes, even barter it like candy in a prison yard. I once traded a half bar for a clean pair of socks in a drought zone. The guy said he hadn't scrubbed properly in weeks and was getting skin boils. Think about that. The value of not getting an infection skyrockets when there's no ER. And bonus, it lasts. One bar, if used carefully, stretches weeks. Compare that to liquid soap or hand sanitizer, gone in days, leaks everywhere, and doesn't always clean properly. I've even carved bar soap for mold casts when I needed to fix gear. It's solid, stable, scent masking if unscented, and stores forever if kept dry. When the shelves are empty and disease spreads faster than rumors, guess who people will turn to? The guy with stacks of soap who smells normal. Because in collapse, clean isn't just comfort, it's survival. And nothing says control like being the one who doesn't stink. Number 2, clothespins. Laugh all you want until you're trying to dry socks over a fire while holding your pants shut with a rock. Clothespins are the classic grandma item everyone mocks, right up until the moment they become the backbone of your makeshift infrastructure. Let's get into it. Drying clothes in a world without dryers? Yeah, that's the obvious one. But it's just the start. Clothespins are lightweight, silent, reusable, and spring-loaded, aka mechanical leverage on demand. I've used them to clamp together tarps in windstorms, hang bug nets, close food bags, mark routes with rags, and even hold fishing lines in tension while multitasking. Ever tried to air dry bandages or sterilize cloth? You don't want them touching dirty logs or muddy ground. You want airflow, sun exposure, and no contact. Enter the clothespin. During a winter storm in 2023, a prep group in Montana used 200 clothespins to string up blackout curtains, hang gear, and clip towels to fireside drying racks. Zero power, 100% control. You think that's silly? Try drying your only socks in rain without losing them to a gust. And don't even get me started on food prep. Clip herbs upside down for air drying. Clip bags shut. Clip lines of garlic to the rafters for rot prevention. I've bartered clothespins in refugee camps for meat, and I once saw a guy trade a pound of rice for 10 weatherproof ones because he was boiling diapers and had nowhere clean to dry them. That's not just demand, that's desperation. So go ahead, roll your eyes now. But when you're rigging your last tarp before a storm, holding together your privacy curtain and suspending your tools to avoid rats, you'll wish you had 50.
Because in collapse, the guy with the clamps doesn't just hold the line, he holds the high ground. Number 1, shower curtain liners. You bought it for $10. Maybe it's moldy now, hanging half detached behind a chipped tub. But let me tell you, when collapse hits, that thin clear plastic liner becomes one of the most powerful survival shields you can own. Why? Because in a world without boundaries, a waterproof, windproof, nearly invisible barrier becomes tactical armor for the unprepared. Think shelter. You've got no tent, the rain's coming in sideways, and your tarp's already patch repaired with duct tape and tiers. You rig up your liner with jute rope and safety pins, and boom, instant secondary barrier. Wind doesn't get in, rain runs off, heat stays in. I once used 2 liners to build a makeshift quarantine tent during an outbreak in rural Colorado. Worked, controlled airflow, contained infection, and that's not all. Lay it out to catch rainwater. Wrap it around gear to keep out moisture. Tape it over broken windows to insulate and shield. Cut it into strips for bindings. Twist it into ropes. Fold it into water containers. One guy I knew used it as an improvised solar still to get drinking water in the desert. Plastic sheeting, especially the heavier 5 mil kind, was the most stolen item from FEMA supply drops after Hurricane Katrina. Why? Because it does everything. Barter it, build with it, sleep under it, hide behind it, even line latrines or dig trenches without soaking your boots. I keep 6 in my long-term kit, rolled tight, sealed and ready, because when your world turns wet, windy, infected, and cold, that liner isn't a bathroom accessory, it's a survival barrier between you and collapse. And in that moment, you're not looking for aesthetics. You're looking for a clean sheet of victory.